Welcome back to Rockstock Channel. It is Friday, August 29th, and we are back for the fourth time with an update of Lithium Universe following our last interview with Chairman Iggy Tan at the end of June at the Fast Markets Conference in Las Vegas. Lithium Universe began its journey as a public company focused on constructing a lithium carbonate refinery using conventional technology in Bécancour, Quebec. A DFS for this project was finalized earlier this year. But as it awaits the inevitable recovery of lithium to incentive-based pricing, Lithium Universe has diversified this summer with the acquisition of global rights from Macquarie University to commercialize a technology that positions the company as both a new silver play and a recycling technology play. Rodney Hooper will dig into this PV cell recycling technology in a moment. Lithium Universe trades on the Australian Stock Exchange, ticker symbol LU7. Current stock price is about 1.1 Australian cents, up 37.5% year to date, and nearly 3 times higher than its most recent placement in June at 0.004 cents. Lithium Universe's market cap is about 16 million Australian or 10 million US dollars. The company raised about 1.7 million in that placement I just mentioned. For more information about Lithium Universe, visit their website, lithiumuniverse.com, or follow them on X at Lithium Universe. You could also follow Iggy on X at TanIggy. As a reminder, Iggy is a lithium industry veteran, having navigated successfully prior boom-bust-boom cycles. He founded Galaxy Lithium, which built the Mount Cattlin spodumene mine in Western Australia and carbonate conversion plant in China with Tangxi Lithium. Galaxy merged with Orocobre, which then became Allchem, and then Arcadium, which Rio Tinto finalized its acquisition of earlier this year for $6.7 billion. For disclosure purposes, Rodney and I are both advisors to and hold equity interests in Lithium Universe. But we are not, of course, financial advisors, and nothing in this video should be considered investment advice. Please do your own research and read the disclaimer at the end of this video. Note that a written summary of this interview will be published in the next edition of RK Equity's Lithium-ion Bull. Please register your email at rkequity.com if you'd like to receive this newsletter directly to your email box. And with that intro out of the way, welcome back, Iggy to Rockstock Channel.
Thank you for having me, Howard and Rodney. Nice to see you again.
Excellent. Iggy, you've had some exciting news, as Howard mentioned, on the PV recycling front. Before we get to that, can you please give us an update on the lithium strategy?
Yes, as you know, Rodney, we have a counter-cyclical strategy where we are getting ready for the lithium boom. So we did a lot of the work to establish a lithium business during this down cycle. And as you know, we've completed a PFS as well as a DFS on a refinery in Bécancour in Canada. Essentially, we have pulled together the same team that we had with Galaxy, and the engineers were Hatch Engineering. And essentially, to take the risk out of technology, we're just replicating the whole design that we did in Jiangsu. Maybe we were lucky, but the plan works really well. It's probably producing one of the best grades of lithium carbonate in the world. And so our strategy is to replicate that and essentially remove all the technical risks that we see in the lithium refineries around the world. We are well placed when the lithium industry recovers. We have the land in Bécancour. We have all our partners. We have people to take the alumina silica material. We have people to take our sodium sulfate. We have suppliers like sulfuric acid, natural gas, and electricity. And we're at the moment in conversations with potential suppliers of spodumene to feed the refiner. Also, conversations with OEMs. They are obviously very interested in the battery-grade lithium carbonate that we'll produce. So all those things are happening. and we're happy to wait for the lithium market to recover.
Right, and on that topic, in your mind, how do you see the timing on the pendulum swinging back in favor of merchant converters outside of China?
Well, the lithium conversion industry outside of China is still very young. There are some attempts in Australia, which is seeing some problems. So the conversion industry, there's a misunderstanding about lithium conversion. There is strong margins in conversion. All you have to do is type the price of spodumene versus the lithium carbonate, and there is always a margin. So essentially, the margin is there to pay the capex of refineries, the returns for that. So there's always a margin, and in our latest presentations, we plugged in all the different spodumene prices at different times with their allocated lithium carbonate price, and the margins are always there, and was very strong when the price went up. So conversion industry is a good business, just like all chemical industries. Most chemical manufacturers buy feedstock, convert it into a product, and sell it. This is no different. Our conversion cost in Canada is about $3,900 a ton, compared to China is about $3,500. So it's very comparable. When you take the distance of the spodumene has to be transported to China and then the product back to North America, it could be as high as $1,400 a ton of lithium carbonate. So positioning a refinery in Canada makes complete sense. Canada and US wants to onshore their supply chain of these critical metals, and that's our strategy. So everything is in place, waiting for this lithium recovery.
Right, and moving on, Iggy, looking at your latest company presentation, Australia is targeting over 80% renewable energy by 2030. You've got about 37% of households that have PV panels installed. Is it safe to say that PV panels and recycling are going to be an important part of Australia's future?
Yeah, not only Australia, Rodney, all around the world, the US, Europe, etc. Today, PV cells or electricity produced from PV cells is the cheapest way to get electricity into production and producing one of the cheapest costs of electricity. So there is expansion of PV solar generation around the world. In Australia, it's unique because we got so much sunshine. As you say, nearly 40% of our households have solar panels on our roofs. So in totality, it generates close to 14% of the total electricity produced in Australia. Now, what happens when these PV cells reach their end life? They generally end up in landfill. So only 15% of solar panels are actually recycled because of the complexity of the recycling process. So this is a big problem, particularly in the world. They're estimated that nearly 87 million tons of these solar panels will end up in landfill. There is quite a interesting statement by one of the energy commissions that the total silver in these discarded PV cells amounts to one of the largest silver mines in Australia. So a lot of critical metals are ending up in landfill.
Yes, I guess that's the opportunity, and we've seen also a large increase in the price of PV cell recyclable materials like silver. In your mind, has this made recycling, a far more profitable and exciting business?
Yeah, the the amount of silver in a discarded solar panel is about 20 grams. At today's price, that's nearly 40 Aussie dollars of silver in a discarded panel. As you mentioned, the price of silver has increased from 15 US dollars an ounce up to now 38 US dollars an ounce. So nearly 154% increase in the last 3 or 4 years. And essentially the demand for silver has been driven by industrial purposes like PV cells, and the supply of silver, which is falling behind the demand. There's a deficit of 111 million ounces of silver deficit, and that's driven the price of silver today.
Right. And we at RK Equity, you're bullish on the outlook for silver demand and prices. Can you describe how the newly acquired technology can improve on the recovery rates?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, while we were waiting for the lithium market to recover, we were presented with this exciting opportunity. I guess we have a background in chemical processing. Essentially, the technology was developed by Macquarie University in Australia. And what happens in conventional recycling is they remove the aluminium frame and they shred and grind the rest of the material. So it ends up as a powder. And from this powder, they try to extract the glass, which is then used in roads or buildings. And the other material is either burned to remove the thermoplastic and so on. So it's not a very efficient process, and consequently, only 15% of PV cells are actually recycled. The technology we acquired from Macquarie University is a simple technology where it's able to separate all these layers without crushing the material into a fine powder. So the first step of it is a microwave heating technology. Just like your microwave in your kitchen, you put a discarded PV cell in it, it selectively heats up the silicon wafer. So the silicon wafer heats up to 600 degrees within 2 seconds. And because it's that hot, it starts to peel away from the thermoplastic and the glass. So you can actually remove the glass without the EVA on it, the thermoplastic. And then you can also remove the plastic from the silicon wafer. So what this means is that you're separating each layer separately, and there is much higher value in that being in separate forms rather than in this grounded material. Now, once we get the silicon wafer, the next step is silver extraction. So at Macquarie University have a technology called the jet electrochemical silver extraction. So very simply, you take a silicon wafer, you put a voltage across it. So there's the silicon wafer, you put a 5-volt voltage across it. The silicon wafer is a positive on the terminal, and you have a nozzle which is on the negative side, and the nozzle is spraying in a dilute nitrate electrolyte. So it's a jet spray of dilute nitrate material. And what we find is that the silver quickly dissolves in the nitrate electrolyte to silver nitrate. So suddenly all the silver, in fact, within a couple of minutes, the silver dissolves into the solution. The nozzle is tracking along the buzz bars and the fingers of silver, removing that silver. And we also deposit the silver straight away. The other important thing is by controlling the voltage and different mechanisms, you don't remove a lot of the impurities on that wafer. So aluminium stays on and other impurities. So you can extract the silver into solution, and then you reverse that and you deposit the silver on a silver substrate. So essentially, it's the reverse of that. It's a electrochemical deposition, and then silver is now deposited on a substrate. So you take the silver off from the silicon wafer into solution, and then you redeposit that through a similar voltage across that. So very neat, exciting technology. What it does is it keeps the impurities away from the silver. The silicon wafer, we'll be looking at trying to buff that off with all the dopants that's on it. And we believe that that silicon wafer will be a higher value impurity that can feed back into the silicon wafer industry. So rather than ending up a pile of powdered mess, by separating each layer and treating it, there is such exciting value in this technology. As I mentioned, almost $40 of silver today in each panel, essentially driven also by the price of silver.
And you own 100% of this technology now?
Yes, that's right. We purchased the technology. We're working with Macquarie team now. As I mentioned, we have a lot of experience in commercializing these sort of processes, and and we will be guiding them on that commercialization process. So one of the areas that we want to establish this business obviously is in Australia as well as in the US. We're at the moment targeting some sites in Texas. We think the critical minerals like silver is as important in Australia as well as in the US. So still a lot of work to go, but quite a lot of news that will follow.
And in terms of scaling it, Iggy, your thoughts about, are you thinking about partnering or doing a pilot scale, or how does it look going forward?
Yeah, well, obviously there's still a bit more work around the proof of concept. We're guiding that through. But as you're right, the first job is to work out a flow sheet, what a commercial plant would look like, and then embark on a pilot plant. And then from there, we'll then move into a pre-feasibility study or DFS. We're open to partnerships, but this is a very exciting project, and we're looking to develop this all the way through.
Right. And for investors, existing shareholders and potential shareholders, what milestones should they be looking out for in the next 6 to 12 months from Lithium Universe?
Yeah, well, a lot of news flows obviously coming through from the test work and the development of the technology. We've started to apply for some grants in Australia. So as they come through, we'll announce those. And as we then start to move into a process design, and then maybe partnerships with various groups that have panels to discard and so on. So meanwhile, we're also still working on our spodumene feedstock and potential OEM to partner up and take the battery grade lithium carbonate.
Excellent, thanks.
Yeah, on the latter there, Iggy, spodumene feedstock, I was thinking if any update you can give. I mean, obviously, I guess a question, Germany was recently like in Canada, talking about a partnership, the Trump, and Carney dynamic, is evolving. Yeah. No, and the lithium quarterlies were just finished. We just actually published RK Equity's summary of all the quarterlies. Sayona, had an updated presentation, I think record volumes and good recoveries, and Sigma, and others. So there's a few spodumene producers in the, I guess, North and South America. And then on, Patriot, attracted VW, a German, partner. So I was just trying to kind of like weave together, if you can give us, state of play on, Canada, US, Europe, and other dynamic.
Yeah, I guess we're seeing some green shoots in the lithium sector. And I think, as one of you guys has said, we see the equities move first. before the price, I think, on one of your podcast shows. That's what we're seeing at the moment. There's a bit of excitement back into the sector. You know, this, the volatility's come back. So yeah, I think it's positive. Still got a way to go, but at least it's moving. So it's a good sign.
Okay. Do you have like in mind a particular incentive price target that would enable you to reach an FID?
We did the study at just under just around $20,000 a ton of lithium carbonate. Of course, it can go much. The price can be lower and still justify the project, but I think it it's still a way to go to get to some of those prices and to hold at those prices before we fund some of these projects. But in the end, demand hasn't changed. Demand still is strong, and we're seeing some adjustment on supply. So I think it's positive.
Okay. And on that supply side, just UBS upgraded their forecast recently based on what they see as, more aggressive supply cuts coming out of China. There's been a lot of news in the last, few weeks about those supply cuts. You have deep experience in China. Any color that you could provide our viewers on any, developments in
It's
China supply in particular?
how it's interesting how every analyst starts to relook at their forecasts once the sentiment moves, and we within 2 months or 3 months, everyone is you can go back and they've changed their forecast very quickly. 3 months ago, well, supply's never going to adjust and blah blah blah, and suddenly everyone's going out with their new figures. What do you reckon about that, Rock?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. But you don't have any. I mean, some of the adjustments have been on specific news coming out of China, CATL shutting down, and just this involution and maybe not refreshing mining licenses at various lepidolite mines, etc. Do you have any additional color beyond what the market has so far put out there?
I think in your previous conversation with YJ, there's a very limited amount of, well, it's difficult to have a full gauge of what the position in China is, and yeah, I think it's positive. It's moving in the right direction that we've all been waiting to see some of the green shoots, and it's happening. So
Okay. Well, as I mentioned at the opening, you are no stranger to the boom bust boom dynamics within the lithium industry. And I don't know, this is my fourth cycle. And, we've been, as you rightly said, we've had YJ on, we've also had Matt Fernley, and prior to him, Ken Hoffman in June. Fast Market seems to, conference at the end of June, seems to have been the bottom. And as I mentioned, your stock has nearly tripled from the small placement that you did. And so always great to catch up, Iggy. Silver's interesting. Recycling obviously is interesting. And this is, look forward to, understanding and future milestones on progressing this while we wait for, the carbonate and lithium market to recover.
thank you for your time, guys, and thank you for your support.
Yeah, our
Always good to
pleasure.
see you, Iggy.